Barack Obama was a friend of mine. He always put America first in his mind. He stood up for poor folks like me every time. He gave me a cell phone when I didn't have a dime. Barack Obama was a friend of mine. He gave us health care for the very first time. He said it wouldn't cost poor people a dime. Now sick folks in America are doing just fine. Barack Obama was a friend of mine. He said dreamers in this country was just fine. He didn't think sanctuary cities crossed the line. He wouldn't deport immigrants if they didn't commit no crimes. Barack Obama was a friend of mine. He was a good president, never stepped out of line. He showed the world how to be decent and kind. He was a good family man all the time. Barack Obama was a friend of mine. He said poverty was no crime. He tried to help poor people when they were in a bind. He gave me food stamps when I didn't have a dime. Barack Obama was a friend of mine. He campaigned for Hillary all the time. He said as president she would do fine. He said Donald Trump would put this country in a bind. Barack Obama was a friend of mine. First black president of our time. He helped out all Americans who were in a bind. As president, he was ahead of his time. Barack Obama was a friend of mine. He's leaving office and the country is doing just fine. I wish he could run for president one more time. Yeah, Barack Obama was a friend of mine. Dear Christopher Columbus, everybody's now cussing your name. For centuries of robbing and pillaging, folks now say you're the blame. An unknown seafaring captain, you sailed your way to fame. But now they say you are a scoundrel, and that you should be ashamed. Hey, hey, Christopher Columbus, did you know when you set sail that day that all the sins of the Western world would be thrown your way? That the deaths of millions of people on your hands would soon lay? So much so that people now want to take away your holiday. Tell me, Christopher Columbus, did you know when you first set eyes on that first Caribbean island, did you at all realize that your journey would be blamed for 100 years of slavery? Cause you were the first white man to sail the seven seas. Dear Christopher Columbus, they say you started it all. The carnage and destruction, the great nations that would fall. And they're holding you responsible for what took place after your trip. Didn't you see it coming when you first dropped anchor on ship? Hey, hey, Christopher Columbus, history has rejected your claim. Your historic journey across the Atlantic and all your fortune and fame. Your name is cursed for the millions that died after you came along. Had you known this in 1492, I bet you would have stayed home. Goodbye, Castro, you had a nice long run, reaping havoc in the world. I'm sure it was a lot of fun. You were a good communist during your 50-year reign. You caused the world a lot of grief, your country a lot of pain. So goodbye, Castro, the commies will miss you a lot. As far as the free world, how soon you'll be forgot. Goodbye, Fidel, now Cuba can move on. Goodbye to the old regime, singing the same old songs. We've all been sitting back, waiting on your demise. Soon the truth will surface, all about your lies. Goodbye, Fidel, goodbye to the embargo. Smoking my first Cuban cigar, watching as you go. Goodbye, El Presidente, the writing was on the wall. The world has been waiting on your regime to fall. We're dancing in the Miami streets, cursing your evil name. Now Cuba's looking to the future, they're ready for a brand new game. Goodbye, El Presidency, 50 years of tyranny. Goodbye to the hardship, hello to prosperity. Goodbye, Fidel Castro, as you head the judgment day. When you meet your maker, what will you have to say? Will you lie to old St. Peter, tell him how things went well? Don't you be surprised when he tells you you're destined to burn in hell. Goodbye, Fidel Castro, now we'll make things right. We're gearing up for your wake, it'll be one hell of a night. was an American hero. His name was Muhammad Ali. He was one of the greatest champs in boxing history. He could float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. He came into this world to make a better place for you and me. We first heard of Cassius Clay. He was fighting Sonny Liston. Clay told the world how he would win, but nobody seemed to listen. The press called him the Louisville Flash, said he didn't stand a chance. Then Ali got up in the ring and he began to dance. Clay took the title from Liston, just like he said he would do. Then he started talking smack to everyone he knew. He said he was the greatest the world had ever seen. He said no one could beat him. He was the American dream. Now Ali was a black man. He came from the American South. Most white folks didn't care much for the way that he ran his mouth. After he won his title, he abandoned his Christian faith. He answered the call to Islam. He took up the Muslim way. Soon after Clay changed his name, he was now Muhammad Ali. He was a proud young black man for all the world to see. Ali dedicated his life to the nation of Islam. Soon Ali would be tested by the war in Vietnam. When Ali he was drafted, he said he could not go. Killing people was a sin, as every Muslim knows. So the boxing world in America soon stripped him of his crown. Ali was then blacklisted in every American town. But Ali took his case to court, and lo and behold, Supreme Court sided with Ali, voting 8-0. Vindicated by the Supreme Court, Ali was now a free man. Soon people hailed him as a hero, the courage to take a stand. And Ali was back in the ring, trying to win his title back. Dancing around in the ring, he could still talk a lot of smack. But Ali had lost the best years of his life. Gone was his young glory days. But his focus never faltered from his religious ways. Later on he'd be heralded by kings and presidents. Ali was a hero to all, wherever in the world he went. Though he got sick later in life, he still stood proud and tall. Though he'd never be the same, he was an inspiration to us all. I heard the news on the TV just the other day. They said the champ had passed away, just like it was another day. My mind goes back 10 years to that warm summer night. Glued to the TV was the first time I saw Ali fight. Now God has called home His favorite son. We all say goodbye to Muhammad Ali. His work on earth is done. He was known in America as the Man in Black. His name was Johnny Cash, he's a legend, that's a fact. He was an American superstar, one of the best we've ever seen. He spent his life singing about the American dream. Started out a country boy, picking in a double road. Son of dirt farmers, living off what they sowed. He learned to sing in church where he spent every Sunday, singing them old gospel hymns, learning the good Lord's ways. He loved to play music, loved to play a guitar. Told his mama and daddy someday he'd be a star. Started out in Memphis at the Sun Studios, playing with Elvis and Jerry Lee on the radio. After he was a big star, he got hooked on the pills. Although rich and famous, his life was all uphill. But his life soon turned around. He met the girl of his dreams. Her name was June Carter, and soon they were a scene. Then he got his life straight, his music back on track. He soon became a legend as the Man in Black. He had a lot of hit songs and a TV show. He even played San Quentin, as everybody knows. Known as the Man in Black, that's all he ever wore. He wore black for the people who were hungry and poor. He said that he'd change when America turned around. He still had on black when they lowered him into the ground. Johnny Cash had a career that lasted 50 years. Played with all the big names in music, he had no peers. He was an American poet for the weak and the poor, for the American Indian knocking on heaven's door. Johnny Cash's passing has left a big hole in my heart. I'll be listening to his songs until death do us part. The Man in Black is gone and his death brings me to tears. He'll never be forgotten, not in 100 years. Today we honor Dr. Martin Luther King, a black preacher man who had a dream. Black and white folks like you and me could live together in peace and harmony. Dr. King dreamed of a better day. Freedom and equality was the American way. He fought for civil rights in this country, making the world a better place to be. He started out an ordinary black man when Jim Crow was the law of the land. Was a time in the American South blacks didn't dare to open their mouths. Starting out in Alabama, he was unknown, a small country preacher who stood all alone. He looked around and saw that things wasn't right. He saw the pain of the black man's plight. Dr. King knew he had to take a stand to fight Jim Crow in his homeland. Freedom in America became his dream. So goes the story of Martin Luther King. He preached nonviolence, said don't raise a hand. Fighting wouldn't solve the problems with the white man. He marched in peace with his people every day, showing nonviolence was the only way. Racists challenged him at every turn. He watched as the crosses continued to burn. He watched black people get beat up in the street. He continued to march on, never showing defeat. White police tried to stop the protest. Beat-downs were common, so were arrests. Soon the brutality was all over the TV. Came into our living rooms for all to see. People saw the violence and it made them sick. Cops beating blacks with the police sticks. Soon America joined into the fray. Whites and blacks marching to freedom's way. Dr. King never lived to see the day. Whites and blacks in America today. He was murdered in Memphis by James Earl Ray, a white supremacist of his day. Dr. King preached nonviolence all of his life. He worked to end all the racial strife. He gave his life for freedom and equality. He died a martyr so his people could be free. Today we celebrate Martin Luther King Day, honoring the man who led the way. He gave his all for racial equality. His struggles are now part of American history. I learned to play music. I was 8 years old, sitting and listening to my radio, waiting on the next Merle Haggard to come on, learning to play along, jamming with the radio. I'd play all night long. Merle was my favorite. I knew all his songs. How I loved to listen to mighty Merle, best country singer in the whole damn world. Now Merle had his troubles back in his younger days, run-ins with the law. He had some rowdy ways. He wound up in prison, as everyone knows, living on borrowed time. So the story goes, but the good Lord forgave him the errors of his ways. He paid the price for his rough and rowdy days. He picked up his guitar and started to play. folks would soon hear just what he had to say. He started singing songs like the Brandon Man, music that simple folks could relate to and understand. His songs touched the people like few could ever do. It seemed like Merle was singing directly to you. I was always Merle's biggest fan. I played all his songs, me and my band. Merle was a hit no matter where we played, 'cause everyone could dance to the music that he made. Now when I first heard that Merle Haggard had died, I nearly broke down. I went home and I cried. I picked up my guitar to hide the tears, then I drowned my sorrows in a case of beer. I sit and I play old Hag all night long, sucking down the cold beers and trying to get stoned. This is my tribute to the Branded Man, best songwriter in the whole damn land. Now Merle singing in heaven, right where he belongs. He'll be singing there with Jesus. Someday I'll be there singing along. His name was Old Joe, a man that I used to know. Growing up when I was a kid, he was well known in our town, the best guitar picker around. And I always wanted to play just like Old Joe did. Old Joe was my father's friend. He was there at my pa's end. He helped carry Pa to his early grave. He helped a lot after Pa he died. He watched me as the tears I cried. Old Joe always told me to be brave. Old Joe helped out a lot after Pa brought around groceries for me and my ma. He tried to help wherever that he could. He kinda took me under his wing. Me and Old Joe did a lot of things, showed me the way to live like I should. Old Joe taught me to play a guitar, said someday I'd be a big star. Afternoons we'd play out on his front porch swing. He Used to call me Little Johnny Guitar. He'd take me down to the local bar. He'd set me down and I'd play and sing. Old Joe taught me to smoke cigarettes, drink cold beer and all the rest. Old Joe was a big fan of Mighty Merle. We used to sit out on the porch and drink beer. I'd play Silver Wings and Joe would cheer. Hanging out with Joe was my world. But in time I had to move away, and I regret to this day not being there when old Joe passed on. And on the other day when Merle Haggard died, I thought about old Joe and I cried. I got drunk and wrote down the words to this song. Now old Joe, he's in heaven, playing for Jesus and all the brethren. I know he's smiling down and watching me. Old Joe was one of the chosen few, the best guitar player that I ever knew. Back on that porch swing's where I wanna be. His name was Stephen Foster, and he heads a mighty roster of musicians in American history. Although he lived 100 years ago, they're still singing his songs we know. He's still popular from sea to shining sea. He was the first songwriter of our time, the first musician of any kind, and he paved the way for artists like you and me. He started playing music, he was just a kid, writing songs before anyone else did. Making music was what he liked to do. He was born when America was still young, back before the Civil War had begun, back when gospel was all the people knew. Then Stephen Foster, he came along, start writing all those good old songs. Oh, Susanna and Swanee River, to name a few. Soon his music began to catch on. America was singing all his songs. Everybody wanted to hear him play. He went out and signed a music contract, the first in America, and that's a fact. Soon he was playing all across the USA. He was the first musician to earn a dime, the first songwriter of all time, the first American superstar of his day. Stephen Foster was a one of a kind, the first musician of our time. Fortune and fame would soon come his way. Camptown races and Old Black Joe were songs that everybody would know. Popular music in America was here to stay. He was the first in America to have a hit song, the first to have America singing along. He was the most popular of his day. He tried to live on the music that he played, but back then there was no money to be made. He made very little off his songs. His publishers were always ripping him off, claiming it all on production cost, so he had to struggle all alone. He was the first musician to get screwed, but like today there wasn't much he could do, so he lived his life in poverty. Stephen Foster died for his time. Trying to be a musician was his only crime. He spent his life seeking fortune and fame. And on the day that he passed away, died alone one cold winter day, he had but 3 pennies to his name. But his music lives on in the songs he wrote. 100 years later, people still take note. Now he's celebrated with his own holiday. They called him Wailin Waylon, he was the rambling man. He started a revolution down in Texas land. Folks called him an outlaw for the music that he made. He became a Texas legend for the songs that he played. He grew up in West Texas, learned to play and sing, playing with Buddy Holly when he was a teen. He left his job as a DJ, went to Nashville, hoping he could land a big record deal. But Nashville had plans for Waylon early on. They put him in a suit and tie, made him sing bad songs. Played the game for years, then he said he had enough. He headed back to Texas to try and do his own stuff. Back home in Austin, he started playing his old songs. Threw away his fancy duds, let his hair grow long. He was singing with Willie, they started drawing a crowd. They called him Texas Outlaws while Nashville laughed out loud. Soon as outlaw music took over American land, his concerts were sold out for Waylon and the band. Soon he had a gold record, everybody was his friend. Record producers called him, said come to Nashville again. Waylon had his problems all through his life, but he overcame them all with the help of his wife. He had a son named Shooter who was his pride and joy. He quit his wild ways once he had that baby boy. He soon became a superstar, going all over the world. He never forgot his home, his family, or his girl. His last gig was a super act called the Highwaymen. Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash, and Christopher's son. I'll always remember the first time I heard Waylon play. It was his first outlaw album, I remember to this day. Making out with my girlfriend, listening to his songs, smoking weed, drinking wine, we listen all night long. Today we lost another legend, another Texas superstar. Waylon's gone to heaven to play his guitar. His passing makes me want to get drunk and get stoned, pick up my guitar and play Waylon all night long.